Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back. Another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are here recording on Friday, October 25th, and we're talking about Lonnie Walker because even though he's not on the team, he's still around. Friend of the pod, Jake Fisher, who's doing Bleacher Report live streams now, put a little tidbit in his live stream stating that the Celtics could potentially look to bring Lonnie Walker back, said they're still interested in him, said they liked him, and said that Jaden Springer could be a trade candidate to be moved at the deadline. He's got a little 3-minute blurb on it, so we can listen to that, watch it, react, and stuff like that. So I'll pull it up here for us to watch.
Pull it up.
Been a 15th man roster spot around the NBA that has gotten so much attention.
Very true.
Time of the last 3+ years, really covering things from a transactional standpoint. And I think it's for good reason because Lonnie Walker had his moments in the Western Conference Finals, right? A couple years ago with the Lakers going toe-to-toe against the eventual champion Denver Nuggets. He's a former first-round pick. He's got wiggle. He's got handle. He can shoot it. He's big. He's athletic. He works hard. He's someone that I think a lot of people around the league have very high feelings about on a character standpoint. It's confusing as to why he's not on an NBA roster right now. I think there's absolute possibilities in Boston for Lonnie Walker to be with the Celtics at some point this season. The issues, of course, that were splayed about all over Twitter and the internet has been the fact that the Celtics, with their massive payroll being into the second apron, just have such a crazy tax hit for just even a minimum contract. What will make things a lot easier for Boston, and this is probably something that happens far closer to the February trade deadline. Like I said, with stuff at the top about Kuminga and Philly and Brooklyn to keep an eye on, just keep an eye on the Celtics potentially moving Jaden Springer come February to potentially open up some opportunity to bring on someone like Lonnie Walker or another back of the bench minimum salary player. The tax accounting happens year end. So I think it's been explained to me from my friends around the league that trading Jaden Springer come February could save Boston upwards of $7 million in the tax savings that, could potentially offset the penalties that would come with bringing on someone like Lonnie Walker. And I definitely heard around the league, obviously a deal did not get done, but I definitely heard around the league that the Celtics, or at least a faction of the Celtics front office, called several teams to just check in on Jaden Springer's value. And that's a thing that's common. It happens. Deadlines create action and needing for flexibility and creativity. And teams will check in with other teams to see what the valuations are around the league, see who's interested, just to file it away, keep it in their database, come back come December 15th, come back come February. If you need a third team to come into the fold, it's really helpful for Boston to keep a database of which teams are actually interested in a former first-round pick like Jaden Springer. So I would not rule out Lonnie Walker to be a member of the Boston Celtics big club at some point this year. He's also someone that, could help New York right now.
All right, had to throw in the Knicks part. I'll let you. This is a tough one for you.
I feel like I've been betrayed. And probably Springer feels that way too, but me first. It can't be good for him to know that this stuff is going on because internally they have, I would imagine they gave him a heads up, which could be a reason why he looked so strange in preseason, where he didn't really look engaged at times the way that we had known last year he did. It could make a lot more sense to why he wasn't playing in some of the preseason games, because it was like, I don't know why Springer's getting DMPs. Why aren't they playing him? Well, they probably didn't want him to get hurt. They were shopping him, first and foremost. It makes sense when you're watching a game like the one in Washington and JD Davison is the first guy off the bench and Springer's not, in garbage time, I should say. Why isn't it Springer? Well, it's because they don't want him to get hurt, or they're trying to trade him. They don't really see him as part of the future. As far as the cap goes, it makes sense, especially when you look at the cap table and you realize his contract is up this year. And you've talked about it before, Jack, where they essentially are going to have to make a decision on him soon. And I raised concerns that I just think that they're going to have to give him an opportunity before they make a decision. What I did not foresee is them making a decision because they liked somebody else better for the roster spot. I didn't realize that was a thing when we were having all those conversations. It makes sense
Sure.
for them to want to have Lonnie Walker around. It's just strange for it to happen this way. And it's even stranger for why would they wait till the trade deadline to do that? I don't know why they wouldn't just I mean, I guess they have to wait until teams get desperate or the teams want to see if the price drops. So it could be an external force making them have to wait. But overall, it doesn't make a ton of sense to why they wouldn't try and get Lonnie on the team as soon as possible because you don't really want he's
Well,
not going to be as useful if he joins the deadline. Just look at how little Tillman was used last year, partly because Joe didn't seem to have trust in him yet, you know?
I get it. I think there's also a part of it that teams who may not be interested in Springer now could be interested in him by the deadline. Like whether it's they'll trade some players and have extra room to take on take a chance player, whether it's, a team that's not necessarily in full rebuild mode now decides to go in rebuild mode and wants to take a chance on a player like Springer and take a second round pick to take him on. You know what I'm saying? So like at the start of the season, I feel like it's harder to do trades like that. They happen. Like, I mean, you saw Jalen McDaniels in the Spurs, like they do, but I don't know. It's definitely a weird situation. It's clear the Celtics like Lonnie Walker. Jake Fisher said to take on Lonnie Walker or a guy like him, so that makes it sound like even if Lonnie Walker gets scooped up or something like that, it could still be a case where they decide to trade Jaden Springer. I think Springer's a fine player. It just does feel like he is a little bit on the outside looking in of even like the future plans. Like Jordan Walsh is probably going to play above him. Like Peyton Pritchard's just so clearly the best backup guard they have. They have two
He's
great
playing
guards
well.
in the starting lineup. Yep, and he's playing well. And then what we saw from Springer in the preseason was also a little shaky. Like obviously he had that great summer league game, but the 3-point shot was there, but then the defense wasn't, or the defense was there, and then it's always just a little bit inconsistent with him. And he's still young; he's still got time to figure it out. But it's tough with a team like the Celtics because of how stacked they are, for lack of better words. So it does feel like a money saving move could occur by the time the deadline comes around, and it would probably. I don't know what the deal is versus now versus then, but by that time they would be able to pay Lonnie Walker a prorated salary rate because it wouldn't be, for the full year. So, I mean, that is the case now by trading Springer because, I mean, they'd obviously pay Lonnie Walker more, but they could get off Springer's contract early too. I don't fully get it. I'm not a cap guy by any means. But it does make sense to want to get off salary when you're not going to bring that person back next year anyways. And I mean, Lonnie Walker at any point would be cheaper than Springer because Springer's making around $4 million. So we'll see what happens. Clearly the Celtics like Lonnie Walker, want to have him around, or at least liked him enough to keep tabs on him and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens by the deadline.
You know what's funny about this is that I completely lost my train of thought. That's real funny, isn't it? Completely forgot what I was going to say.
Gone.
Oh, you know what's funny about this is Jake Fisher reported this the morning of the decision for Lonnie Walker. He had a newsletter that he kind of put out on Threads, a little bit of intel from each team. And the way it was presented in the newsletter just kind of seemed like speculation, the way it kind of had been going around the circles that we're in terms of like the Celtics beat and stuff, people just doing the math and being like, well, what if they did this? Now, hearing him say it, hearing the way that he presents it, the fact that he's discussed it with people within the league and they've all kind of pointed at this being like, well, the Celtics really do like Lonnie Walker. They just need to find a way to get him. I'm sure the fan base is going to be happy about this because they were very high on Lonnie Walker. He's a bigger name than Springer. He's somebody who has had a decent moment in the playoffs before. He hasn't done a whole lot besides that, but he has 4 years of NBA experience under his belt. So it's pretty good for him. The Celtics could use it. I mean, it would be really fun to have him in these games that they're beating the piss out of teams like New York and Washington. He probably could have had 15 points in either of those games because he would have just had the minutes to do so. Sure. If you want to bring back Lonnie Walker, go for it. Because the way it's going now, they just don't intend to use Springer. So why even have him?
And I don't think they would use Walker either. I think it would just be, we like this guy, we'll get him in the system, stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. Let us know your thoughts down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, tell us what you think of Jake Fisher's report regarding Lonnie Walker and Jaden Springer. You can also hit the bell. You don't want to miss Jack and I putting out content every single morning. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Game recaps are here the morning after each game. Other videos like this one come out in between to keep you guys all up to date on all things Celtics. Jack and I are here live for pregame streams a half hour before each Celtics game. So you definitely want to come hang out for those. They're a ton of fun. You can find us on Spotify and Apple too. If you want the pods and game recaps, they will be there for you. If you follow us, they will go right to your feed. Make sure you leave a 5-star review if you're on Apple. We'd appreciate that. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We got a ton of emails for tomorrow's pod, so join the fun. Send your thoughts on the first couple games. Send your thoughts on this. Send your rat list. hbtcpod@gmail.com. The socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's just the name of the podcast. Our streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jackson1NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac.